On a quiet afternoon, Sylvia, a 60-year-old woman, decided to take a taxi to a remote place filled with treasured memories from her past. As she stepped out, the fresh air awakened a sense of adventure she hadn't felt in years. Little did she know, her day would change when she met David, a charming man who reignited emotions she believed had long faded. Their bond sparked an unexpected journey of romance. As the taxi cruised along the winding country roads, the late afternoon sun cast a golden glow across everything it touched. Sylvia, a graceful woman in her 60s, with silver hair loosely gathered into a bun, gazed out of the window, her thoughts drifting between nostalgia and excitement. She was dressed simply yet stylishly, in a soft cream cardigan and dark pants, her hands resting gently on her lap. Though the driver kept up light conversation, her mind wandered through memories of her youth times filled with laughter, love, and adventure. She hadn't felt this alive in years, but today was different. "Could you stop here, please?" she asked, snapping out of her thoughts. The taxi pulled to a halt at the roadside, and Sylvia stepped out, breathing in the fresh air. After paying the driver, who looked at her curiously, she was already lost in her thoughts, oblivious to the world around her. The landscape before her was stunning, with lush green fields stretching far and a forest in the distance. She had chosen this spot because it held special memories, a place she often sought peace and joy in her youth. As she walked toward the forest's edge, a thrill of excitement stirred inside her. She had visited this place many times with her late husband, Henry. They had laughed, explored, and sometimes simply sat in silence, enjoying each other's company. Closing her eyes for a moment, she let the breeze touch her face and the warmth of the sun settle on her skin. Memories flooded back, bringing a bittersweet smile to her lips. But today she wanted to create new memories and feel the thrill of life once more. Venturing further into the woods, she listened to the soft rustling of leaves and distant birdsong. After some time, she stumbled upon a small clearing surrounded by tall trees. In the middle stood an old, weathered bench, still sturdy despite its age. She brushed away the leaves and sat down, her heart swelling with fond memories. Just as she was settling into the peaceful moment, she heard footsteps approaching. Startled, she looked up and saw a man standing at the clearing's edge. He was tall, with salt and pepper hair framing his kind face, his deep blue eyes full of warmth and curiosity. "Hello there," he said, his voice smooth and welcoming. "I didn't expect to find anyone here." A warmth spread through Sylvia as she smiled, intrigued. "Just enjoying the quiet," she replied, her voice softer than intended. "This place holds many memories for me." He stepped closer, the sunlight highlighting his features and revealing a friendly smile that put her at ease. "I understand. I often come here to reflect. Nature has a way of bringing back those special moments, doesn't it?" They began talking easily, sharing stories about their lives, loves, and the moments that shaped them. His name was David, and he was also in his 60s, with grown children now living their own lives. Sylvia felt an instant connection with him, as if they were old friends reunited after years apart. With each passing moment, she found herself laughing more freely, her heart feeling lighter. They talked about their favorite places, their dreams, and their hopes, and as the sun began to set, casting a warm orange glow through the trees, Sylvia felt a newfound warmth blooming within her. Time passed unnoticed as they shared their stories, but eventually, a comfortable silence fell between them, heavy with unspoken emotions. Sylvia could feel the chemistry between them building, an invisible pull drawing them closer together. It was both thrilling and frightening, a kind of attraction she hadn't experienced in years. As David's gaze lingered on her, they silently watched one another, the world around them fading into the background. "Would you like to take a walk?" David asked, breaking the spell. Sylvia nodded, her heart racing. As they walked side by side, their hands almost touching, she felt the connection between them grow stronger. They wandered deeper into the woods, the air fragrant with the scent of pine and wildflowers. As they strolled, they shared more of their lives, their laughter echoing through the trees and hills. Sylvia found herself opening up about things she hadn't spoken about in years, her dreams, her regrets, and the joys that had shaped her life. When they reached a small stream, David paused, turning to face her. "You have such a beautiful spirit," he said, his voice low and sincere. Sylvia blushed at the compliment, her heart fluttering. "Thank you. But it's easy to feel that way when you're surrounded by such beauty," she replied, her eyes shining. He stepped closer, closing the space between them as he gazed deeply into her eyes. "No, it's more than that. There's something about you, something that lights up everything around you." But before she could respond, he gently brushed a stray hair behind her ear, a simple touch that awakened feelings she thought had long been forgotten. For a moment, time stood still as their eyes locked, both of them sensing the electric tension in the air, as if the universe had conspired to bring them together in that perfect moment. Slowly he leaned in, their lips mere inches apart. Sylvia's heart raced, and anticipation surged through her veins as she closed her eyes, surrendering to the moment. When their lips finally touched, the kiss was gentle, soft, like a delicate breeze gracing the earth after a long winter. A rush of warmth swept over Sylvia, as if the sun had suddenly burst through the clouds. The kiss deepened, their bodies drawn together by an invisible force. It was everything she had longed for, a connection that reignited her soul, making her feel alive once more. She felt youthful and vibrant, as though the years had melted away with each touch of his lips. As they pulled apart, both breathless, David gazed into her eyes, as if searching for something. "I didn't expect to feel this way today," he confessed, his voice thick with emotion. Sylvia smiled softly, her heart swelling with joy. "Neither did I," she admitted, her fingers lacing with his. They stood there, fingers intertwined, savoring the warmth of the moment as the world around them blurred into the background. For the first time in years, Sylvia felt hope blossoming in her heart. She realized love could bloom at any age, and it could be just as beautiful and intoxicating as it had ever been. As the sky shifted to shades of pink and orange, marking the end of the day, Sylvia and David continued sharing stories and laughter. Walking hand in hand back toward the clearing, their hearts beat in sync with one another. The sun dipped below the horizon, leaving behind a blanket of stars twinkling above. Sylvia felt alive, free, and wonderfully optimistic as she leaned into David, who wrapped his arm around her shoulders, pulling her close. It was a moment of connection and comfort, and she knew something beautiful was unfolding between them. When they finally reached the bench again, David turned to her, his expression serious yet gentle. "I don't want this day to end," he murmured, his voice barely above a whisper. Sylvia felt a wave of warmth rush through her. She didn't want it to end either. "Maybe it doesn't have to," she replied, her heart racing with possibilities. They sat together, still holding hands, sharing stories beneath the stars as they twinkled in the night sky. Laughter and warmth passed between them, creating an intimate bubble that felt like it could last forever. As the stars sparkled above, David gently lifted Sylvia's chin, looking deeply into her eyes. "You've brought something back into my life that I thought was lost forever," he confessed, his gaze unwavering. Sylvia's heart swelled at his words, feeling a deep connection that sent a thrill through her entire being. "I feel the same," she admitted, her voice trembling with emotion. They leaned in once more, their lips brushing gently in another kiss, each touch reigniting a long-dormant fire. In that serene moment, surrounded by nature and beneath the stars, they both understood they had discovered something rare and beautiful. Their hearts were open to new beginnings, a romance that defied age and circumstance. With each kiss, each shared laugh, they began weaving their lives together, creating memories that would last a lifetime. As they sat together, wrapped in each other's warmth, Sylvia realized that love could indeed flourish anew at any age. Every moment of joy, passion, and connection was worth cherishing. With each kiss, Sylvia felt the world around them disappear. The warmth of David's body against hers filled her with a sense of security she hadn't felt in years. She could feel the steady rhythm of his heartbeat as they sat close, their breaths mingling in a natural harmony that felt as if they had known each other forever. Their souls connected deeply, in a way she had never imagined possible at this point in her life. David pulled back slightly, his eyes searching hers. "I can't believe how easy this is with you," he said, his voice low and warm. Sylvia nodded, her heart racing. "It feels like we were meant to meet today," she whispered, barely audible. The magic of the moment enveloped them, making everything else seem insignificant. She leaned into him again, resting her head on his shoulder, feeling a profound sense of peace wash over her. For so long she had carried the weight of loneliness, but now, with David by her side, that burden felt lifted. Tell me more about you, David urged, gently brushing his fingers through her hair, sending tingles down her spine. Sylvia took a deep breath, feeling the vulnerability of the moment. I spent many years focused on my family, raising my children, she began, a soft smile playing on her lips. I loved every moment, but once they grew up and left, I felt lost. She paused, gathering her thoughts. I think I forgot how to enjoy life for myself. David listened carefully, his expression serious yet gentle. You deserve to find joy again, he said earnestly, his gaze steady. Sylvia looked up at him, a mixture of gratitude and longing filling her. I never thought I could feel this way again, she admitted, her voice shaky. You make it easy, he replied, leaning closer, his words heavy with meaning. Sylvia's heart raced as she felt his emotions mirror her own. It was more than just attraction, it was a deep, emotional bond that made her heart swell. The night deepened around them, the stars twinkling like diamonds above. Sylvia felt a flutter of excitement mixed with fear. What if this was just a fleeting moment? But when she looked into David's eyes, she saw warmth and sincerity, something that made her want to take the leap. What if we explored this, she asked softly, her voice barely audible. What if we let ourselves fully experience whatever this is between us, Sylvia asked. David's smile grew, his eyes shining with a mix of surprise and joy. I would love that, he responded, his voice heavy with emotion. Encouraged by his words, Sylvia leaned in and kissed him again. This kiss was different, deeper, more passionate, filled with the promise of what could come. David's hands slid to her waist, pulling her closer as she melted into him. Each kiss sent waves of warmth and desire through her, reigniting a fire she thought had been extinguished long ago. She felt truly alive, with every touch making her heart race, filling her with a longing she hadn't felt in years. As their lips met, the world around them seemed to vanish. Sylvia could feel David's heartbeat, steady and strong, perfectly in sync with her own. The connection between them was undeniable, and with each gentle caress, she felt herself falling deeper into him, as if their souls were entwined. The night was filled with the sounds of nature, but all she could hear was their breathing and the beating of their hearts. In that moment, nothing else mattered but the magic they had created together, a moment she knew she would treasure forever. As their kisses intensified, Sylvia felt a thrilling surge of desire sweep over her. David's hands moved from her waist to her back, pressing her even closer, and she could feel the heat radiating from his body. She had forgotten what it felt like to be wanted, to feel the spark reignite inside her. Every touch awakened parts of her that had been dormant for so long. She craved more, eager to explore every aspect of this connection that felt so right. David pulled back slightly, his eyes searching hers. Are you sure about this? He asked softly, his voice laced with concern. Sylvia felt a flicker of doubt, but the look in his eyes reassured her. She nodded, her heart pounding. I've never been more sure of anything, she answered, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions swirling within her. It was as if he had unlocked something deep inside her, something that had been waiting for this very moment. He smiled gently, and their lips met once more, this time with an urgency that made Sylvia's heart race. The kiss deepened as David's hands roamed her body, tracing the lines of her waist and hips. Each touch stoked a fire within her, reigniting passions she thought time had taken away. Sylvia responded instinctively, her fingers weaving into his hair, pulling him closer as she surrendered to the intoxicating warmth between them. In that instant, they were lost to the world, two souls entwined in a dance of passion and yearning. David's hands traveled up her back, finding the clasp of her cardigan. With a soft tug, he opened it, letting it slip off her shoulders. The cool night air touched her skin, sending a rush of exhilaration through her. She gasped lightly, feeling both exposed and liberated. David's eyes darkened with desire as he ran his fingertips along her bare arms, sending tingles across her skin. You're so beautiful, he whispered, his gaze never leaving hers. Sylvia blushed, warmth blossoming in her chest at his words. Show me, she whispered back, emboldened by the moment and the passion that burned between them. She felt a surge of empowerment, ready to embrace this unexpected connection completely. David's breath hitched at her request, his eyes reflecting a mix of surprise and excitement. Are you sure, he asked again, his voice thick with emotion. Sylvia nodded, her heart racing. Yes, I want this, she declared, feeling a rush of adrenaline at her own boldness. She was ready to dive into the depths of this moment, to allow herself to feel every bit of the passion between them. With a mutual understanding, David leaned in, capturing her lips in another kiss. This time it was electric, filled with urgency as they both gave in to the desire that pulsed between them. His hands explored her body, caressing her curves with a tenderness that made her heart flutter. Sylvia responded eagerly, arching her body against his as their kisses became deeper, more fervent. The world around them seemed to vanish, leaving only the powerful connection they were building in that quiet forest clearing. As the night surrounded them, Sylvia felt a wave of freedom wash over her. She had spent so many years being cautious, holding back her desires, but with David, it felt as though all those barriers had crumbled away. She surrendered to the moment, allowing the heat of passion to guide her. She pulled him closer, her fingers tracing the contours of his jawline, memorizing the feel of his skin under her touch. Everything about him drew her in, and she couldn't help but lose herself in the magic of their connection.